I got that animal ambition. I got that animal ambition. I got that.
Hey y'all, Smoky, what's good? In this video, I'm gonna be watching 10 wrestlers WWE gave up on too early or too quickly by Cultaholic Wrestling. Now, this time when somebody would debut onto the main roster, but they only give them, what do you want to call it, like a first time impression, I guess. And if they don't like it, they're just gonna cut you off right away, unfortunately. Sometimes they give you months, 2 months, sometimes the main roster for a little bit, or a year or something, and then when they see that, and when they go for the opportunity for a big push, it seems like they got it by the momentum of the fans. But then creative or whomever was like, you know, yeah, forget about this guy and just throw him aside after being hot for like 2 months or something. It's a pretty absurd concept, but that's just the nature of the business, and overall that's just show business. It's just how it is. When you are not somebody that they planned for you to be, and you end up being big and they're trying to toss you aside, or simply they just have the patience for you when you're a new guy coming in and just say, you know what, let's forget about this, and then boom goes the dynamite, you know. The original video is in the link in the description down below. Alright, let's go.
Patience may be a virtue, but nobody has ever accused Vince McMahon and the rest of the WWE Creative Brain Trust of being especially virtuous now, have they? WWE stars come and WWE stars go, but it's no lie to say that some go sooner than others, and many times long before they've ever really been given a proper shot to succeed. Whether it was a blink and you'll miss it run or a main event dalliance, the lack of faith often leaves fans with the lingering question of, what if? I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 wrestlers WWE gave up on too quickly. Join us. Number 10, Mordecai. After a couple of years in WWE's developmental system, Kevin Fertig, who had portrayed a character called Seven during his stint in OVW, was called up to the SmackDown roster in the spring of 2004. Vignettes hyped the impending debut of Mordecai, a religious zealot type hell-bent on ridding the world of sin for weeks. Decked out in all-white everything, the Pale Rider was supposedly going to be built up for an eventual feud with The Undertaker. WWE appeared to be doing the slow burn thing with Mordecai, giving him victories over the likes of Scotty 2 Hotty and Hardcore Holly at back-to-back pay-per-views. But just days after knocking off old Sparky Plug, Mordecai was beaten by Rey Mysterio on SmackDown and sent back to OVW. Amazingly, there had been suggestions that Mordecai could challenge Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title at SummerSlam prior to JBL taking the belt off Latino Heat and Mordecai getting axed. Fertig himself has said that his involvement in a bar fight contributed to his downfall, but WWE quickly called on Mordecai anyway, and certainly didn't have big plans for Kevin Thorne on ECW a couple of years later either. Number 9, Caval.
He didn't do much on ECW. He was portrayed as a dominant figure in the beginning, of course, you know, just to build your character up, and then it just goes downhill from there. He was part of the new breed to take on the ECW originals at, I think they performed together at WrestleMania 23, but and also on the ECW brand, like the following days or week. After that, you know, it was going AWOL from there, unfortunately.
Loki grafted tirelessly for years in promotions like Ring of Honor, TNA, and overseas in Japan to earn a reputation as one of the most talented pro wrestlers of his generation. So it's quite funny that when WWE got their hands on him, they paired him up with Lay Cool and had him play second fiddle to the co-holders of the women's title. Despite being routinely mocked for his stoic demeanor, the renamed Caval ended up winning Season 2 of NXT when it was a glorified game show and was shifted over to the SmackDown brand, where he lost, and lost, and lost again. But then he earned a place on the Blue brand's bragging rights team, wahey! And he lost that too. Still, at least he had a guaranteed title shot to fall back on from his NXT victory, which he used to take on Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler at the 2010 Survivor Series. He lost that one too, naturally, then lost some more matches before he got tired of losing and realizing that WWE had no significant ideas for him, besides losing a lot, he asked for and received his release. Number 8,
And I don't understand, because why make NXT fan vote if the winner of the person that you don't expect to win is going to be treated like trash? Example A. I wonder who they prefer to win that season. Alex Riley? Percy Watson? Like, who was it, I wonder? They could have done like a whole underdog thing, but nah, they just said, we got nothing for you, so you're just here to enhance the talent. Boom, boom, bam. Acting like he wasn't tough enough.
Ultimo Dragon. Years after it was feared a botched elbow operation had ended his career, WCW favourite Ultimo Dragon signed with WWE. The company built up his impending debut with vignettes and introduced the inventor of the acai moonsault in grand style by having his first televised WWE match take place on an episode of SmackDown taped from Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
The masked man looked sharp putting Shannon Moore away, while Rey Mysterio talked him up on commentary and Billy Kidman watched on from the crowd, flanked by models and wearing sunglasses for some reason. That was about as good as it got for Dragon, whose next televised outing was a quick loss to Eddie Guerrero. After that, Ultimo could usually be found plying his trade on low-priority weekend show Velocity. No real shock that he decided to leave WWE after less than a year. The man himself would later say that WWE perhaps felt like he was too similar to Mysterio, while also revealing that they wanted him to unmask, a request that helped speed up his premature exit. Number 7, Shad Gaspard.
Luchador be secretive when it comes to the mask. Like, if you were to look them up at Wikipedia, you won't see nothing about their early life or anything personal life. It's just strictly what happens in the business compared to others. He's not Rey Mysterio, bro. Like, come on.
Gaspard. If you had to bet money on one of the members of Crime Time getting pushed strongly and succeeding in singles once they broke up, you would have put it on Shad Gaspard. No offense to JTG or anything, but Shad had the height and the muscularity that WWE typically coveted, as well as a presence and charisma
he's talking about
and all
when he
that
went
other
heel.
good stuff. Shad clearly believed in himself too, which is why he pitched the team breaking up so that he could have a solo run to WWE Creative in early 2010. He got his wish, but not the results he desired, as he was hastily beaten in his and JTG's Rush strap match at Extreme Rules, essentially blowing off their feud mere weeks after his big heel turn. He did get a win over his former partner on Superstars a short time later, but after one more squash match win, WWE decided Gaspard was
They said Superstars, bro.
missing something and sent him to Florida Championship Wrestling, where he spun his wheels for a few months before being released. Shad had all the tools to do more and go further on his own, but WWE evidently didn't see it. Number 6, Damien Sandow. There is a belief among a certain segment of WWE fans that a talent is only allowed to get over if the company actively wants them to. You may cry conspiracy at that notion, but may I present to you Exhibit A. Fired after a forgettable 2006 run on SmackDown, Aaron Stevens toiled on the indies, won back the attention of his former employer, and reported once again to the developmental system. While there, he crafted the Damien Sandow persona, which was his ticket back to the main roster. The intellectual savior of the masses was something very different and struck a chord with the WWE universe. Working his way up the card, Sandow formed a winning team with Cody Rhodes, which led to an inevitable split when he betrayed his partner in order to secure the Money in the Bank briefcase. It was a prop that could have propelled Sandow to the very top tier, but WWE instead booked Sandow to be the first person to fail to cash it in as he senselessly lost to John Cena on Raw.
Was he?
The brass
I
ring
thought John
only
Cena was
grew
the first.
further and further out of reach as Damien plummeted to the bottom of the bill. Number 5, Maven. The winner of the first ever season of Tough Enough, Maven Huffman enjoyed early success in WWE. He famously eliminated The Undertaker from the 2002 Royal Rumble and snagged a WrestleMania Hardcore title match against Goldust before an ill-timed injury derailed his momentum. It took Maven a while to regain it, though things looked to be going in the right direction for the still inexperienced star in late 2004. Rubbing shoulders with Randy Orton and Chris's Jericho and Benoit, Maven feuded with the remaining members of Evolution heading into that year's Survivor Series. As a member of the winning team, even if he didn't do that much in the match besides running and potato Gene Snitsky, his character was given the chance to act as general manager of Raw for a week. Typically, he booked himself in a World Heavyweight title match against Triple H.
Wow.
Typically, he lost.
Yeah.
He soon turned heel, but the push didn't take, and he was presented as a joke in his feud and matches with Intercontinental Champion Shelton Benjamin. Maven landed in a spot teaming with fellow mid-card comedy heel Simon Dean, but tagging with the fitness freak wasn't enough to save him from being future endeavored. Number 4, Tensai. To be fair to WWE, they tried time and time again to make Matt Bloom a credible singles threat. In the early 2000s, he was given a not insubstantial push on SmackDown as A-Train, but failed to get over to the desired level, and after an injury and switch to Raw, he was let go. Reinventing himself as a monster heel in the Far East, he changed his name to Giant Bernard and enjoyed much success as one of the top foreigners in New Japan. WWE's talent relations chief John Laurinaitis was watching and engineered Bloom's return after an almost 8-year absence. Coming back with a gimmick inspired by his time in the Land of the Rising Sun, Bloom was now known as Lord Tensai, though he soon dropped the Lord part and was being built up as a villainous challenger for John Cena. After a couple of squashes to establish him as a threat, Tensai actually beat John Cena in an Extreme Rules match on Raw. This didn't lead to anything substantial, however, as WWE suddenly got bored of the big man, fed him to Cena, and proceeded to job him out to high heaven.
Hold up, wait.
Things turned out alright in the end, mind.
The disrespect.
3. Eric Escobar. Eric Perez spent 4 years
I remember
stationed in
this guy on
WWE
SmackDown.
developmental territories
Yeah,
deep
he's
south and then
definitely
Florida
another one, bro.
Championship Wrestling before finally receiving his call-up. The Puerto Rican was signed by WWE in the hope that he could be their next Spanish-speaking star, given that he was tall and had a good look. Debuting on SmackDown in September of 2009, Eric Escobar was introduced as the storyline boyfriend of Vicky Guerrero. He beat Matt Hardy in his first match to earn a place on the Blue Brands team at Bragging Rights, though he was quickly removed from it along with Crime Time, Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler. Being replaced in the interbrand bout should have been the first sign that WWE weren't exactly going to follow through with Escobar's early push. Losing an Intercontinental title match to John Morrison and then getting dumped by Vicky was signs 2 and 3. After being punished by the general manager for a few weeks, Escobar was given his marching orders by WWE just a few months after what had been such a promising start. Number 2, Kizani.
Ugh.
Sin Bodhi, a longtime friend of Edge and Christian who had wrestled regularly for TNA as a member of the New Church stable, had been on WWE's radar for a while doing dark matches and such before finally inking a developmental deal in July of 2007. After a year of busting his butt in the
Why have vignettes for somebody who's not even all that to begin? Because when I see Kenzani vignettes, I'm like, nah. This guy's supposed to be like the next big thing or something? Why do you keep popping him up? You see a first match on TV, and then you're like, the hell? And then, keep watching.
sticky Florida heat, Bodhi was pitched an idea for him to do on the main roster. Kizani! It's Carney for Carney, get it? Well, Bodhi got it and hated it, but not one to turn down a chance at superstardom, grabbed it with both hands. Kizani vignettes began playing in October of 2008, showing the character at a carnival and speaking in Carney, of course. It may have been a rather lame inside joke, but the fact that Vince McMahon himself pitched the idea and WWE invested the time and effort in promoting the character did bode well. As did a debut victory over the luckless MVP on the first SmackDown of 2009. Sadly, that would be one of a grand total of 2 televised matches for Kizani, the other being the second man eliminated in a battle royal before he whiz-ass fizz-ired. Number 1, Ryback.
Doesn't make any
Breaking
sense.
his ankle early into the Nexus invasion of WWE was quite possibly the best thing that could have happened to Ryan
Sheffield,
Reeves, as
y'all.
strange as that may sound. Away from television for the best part of 2 years, Skip Sheffield was allowed to become a distant memory. In his place came Ryback, a Goldbergian cyborg-like smashing machine in striking airbrushed outfits. After a few months of squashing everything in his path, Ryback was one of the most over acts on the roster. So much so that he was chosen as an unlikely opponent for then WWE champion CM Punk. The undefeated Ryback was so hot at the time that some fans genuinely felt as though the right call would be for him to dethrone the straight-edge superstar when they met inside Hell in a Cell, but that was not to be. After Ryback fell at the first hurdle, it felt as though WWE gave up on him as a proper main event level player. Sure, he won titles and was involved in memorable feuds after, but he was never seriously considered for the top prize again. And now he never will be due to his official, legally binding retirement.
Man. I mean, a lot of those stuff made no sense. Lord Tensai, Kizarni, for one reason or another. It just doesn't pan out. If some of them did continue their pro wrestling career, you know, obviously we wish them the best for whatever wrestling promotion that they are in currently or before, after they got released in the WWE at the time. That was that 10 wrestlers WWE gave up on too quickly. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Peace, I'm out.